Good afternoon, evening, or morning, and welcome to the round 5 of season 7 of SSRI's GT3 League. Today we're at good old Donington Park over in, I don't know if it's Derbyshire or Nottinghamshire. Is Nottinghamshire even a thing in the UK? Good old Donington, a nice little tight track for our Tier 2 drivers today. We've had a challenging start to the evening already with the ACC servers being down, but the SSRI admin team have managed to find a way around it. So despite the servers down, the Tier 2 race will continue as normal today. This is the final round. It's a 60-minute race. There'll be 20-minute qualifying, 60-minute race with a mandatory pit stop which has tyres and fuel. There is no pit window, so drivers can obviously pit whenever they like, and we'll be shortly getting into qualifying. No doubt today is going to be very action-packed. Being Donington, it's a short, tight, twisty track. There's a lovely plane going over the top there, going towards what's going to be East Midlands Airport, for those of you that know the area, or coming from, who knows, not sure in that direction. But yeah, Donington is notorious for lots of jam-packed action. It's going to be tight, it's going to be twisty. You might even see some drive-through penalties as people send it through the chicane. And no doubt it's going to be a fun evening. So if you are watching, give us a shout out in the YouTube chat. Let's see who we've got in the stream at the moment. But yeah, shortly we will be underway with qualifying. We're going to have a quick look at a track guide and we can try and walk you through what that would look like. So this is going down the start-finish straight, pit lane on the left. Going in towards turn 1, drivers can use a little bit of the pit exit to open up turn 1, and they want to tuck it in nice and tight, just missing that inside curb as it can be a little bit bouncy, and onto the green stuff on the outside of turn 1. We then go down the hill. I have no idea what these names are called, despite having driven this track in real life. We're going to go down the hill into a sharp left. This is absolutely flat out here until you get into the braking zone of this right-hander. You can take quite a lot of the inside curb on the right here, and then use all of that exit curb. You can abuse the track limits a little bit there. Cutting this corner here, you can go right over the curb on the left where the cones are, and you'll run out wide onto the outside red and white curbing. Tucking it in nice and tight and get ready for this sharp right. This is a very slippy corner, so for those cars that have got a lot of rear wheel, a lot of acceleration on the rear, you're going to see them start to slide around a bit. Up the hill a little bit into another hard braking zone, but you can really send it up the inside of that curve there, maximising the exit. Again, a super slippery corner there, as we then head down flat out, going up through the gears all the way down in towards the chicane. The chicane has interesting track limits. You can take quite a lot of the inside curb and not a lot of the exit curb, so hard on the brakes just as it dips down the hill, cutting nice and tight on the inside and then flat out through the exit. Cars that have got a bit of a stiffer suspension are going to struggle to through there. And if you go a bit quick, you will end up in the grass. Into the second to last corner, hard on the brakes between the two marker boards, tucking it in nice and tight. You might see some drivers knock their traction control settings down a little bit through here to try and maximise the exit and reduce their bog. And then we're coming towards the final corner, braking on the curbing on the right hand side. And then tucking it in nice and tight to swing it round onto the start-finish straight. Good lap times round here, so our Tier 1 drivers were doing 25, 26s. Tier 2 I suspect will be 26s, 27s, maybe slightly slower, but obviously not sure on what the temperatures are at Donington Park tonight, so that will have a bit of an influence on what the lap times look like. We've got two classes racing tonight, as most of you know that have been here for some time. So we've got the silver class and the AM class. They're determined by different sort of logos, if you will. Well, name boards, number boards is what I'm trying to say. Colour boards is probably the right way to describe it on the timing screen once that gets live, and you'll be able to determine which class is which. There's championship points for each class, so you could be P1 in AM class, but actually you could be starting in P11 if that makes any sense. But yeah, Donington's going to be an interesting one today, guys. If you're watching, please share the stream about. Let's get some people in here. Let's get a chat going. Make sure you've liked, subscribe. Let's just have a good evening. It's going to be a good race, that's for sure. Interestingly, on that photo there, where the path is, it looks soaking wet. I don't know if that's just ACC or somebody's been out watering the path for whatever reason, but interesting. Yeah. So yeah, Donington's it's a tough track, and one thing that I would say about Donington is, having driven it in real life, the pit entry is quite scary. So in this particular layout, you come around the final corner and the pit entry is on the left, but drivers are going to have to be super careful tonight to make sure they get that pit limiter on at the right time, because it's so easy to speed into the pit lane. In real life, there's different variations of this track, but the one that I drove is, you come, instead of being a hairpin for the final corner, you come down the back straight, and there's a little chicane. But as you come out the chicane, you're on the right hand side of the track, but the pit entrance is on the left, so you almost have to cut across traffic to get into the pit. It's quite scary. But drivers are going to have to be super careful tonight, just to make sure that they don't get themselves a stop and go 30 for speeding the pit lane, because a pit stop around here is just under the length of a lap, give or take, depending on how fast people are lapping. So yeah, stop and go 30 puts you nearly a lap down, which is really not where you want to be. In terms of weather tonight, so expected to be dry. We don't expect any forecast change to happen, although who knows, it is also the UK, so it could well rain, but very unlikely. Weather forecast looks nice and clear. That is a lovely overhead shot, isn't it, of that plane going from East Midlands Airport, and that path that I've just said that looks quite wet. There we go. But yeah, we'll shortly be getting underway with our qualifying session, and it'd be good to see who you guys are cheering on. You can see turn 1 and going all the way down the hill there. Turn 1 is surprisingly quite tricky. So if you qualify P1, you'll start on the right hand side of the grid. That inside line to turn 1 is very strong. It's quite easy to defend from the outside. But if somebody, mainly because the outside is incredibly slippery and it's quite a long way around. But if drivers do manage to get alongside you going down the hill, it's going to be very tight and narrow. There's the chicane. Again, an area of the track where drive-throughs may happen, because that inside bit you can take quite a lot of the curb. The outside bit, if you get two wheels on a bit too far over, all of a sudden you've got yourself a trap warning. And if drivers find themselves getting 3 trap warnings, they've got one more opportunity, and then they'll see themselves with a drive-through penalty. Now, albeit the drive-through isn't hugely time costing at Donington, the pit lane isn't massively long. It's not like Spa-Francorchamps where it feels like it's 12 miles long, but that loss of time will be detrimental to these guys' their race. So people will definitely be watching out for those track warnings. And what you'll start to see, especially towards the end of the race, is you might see a battle for position, and all of a sudden somebody goes half a second a bit slower through that chicane. And when somebody does that, you know that they've either one of two things have happened there. Either they've backed out because they've got it wrong and they might have missed their braking points, they've tried to correct it, or the second point is that actually they're on 3 trap warnings, they don't want that 4th one, so they're just taking a little bit more caution through there compared to what they would normally take. So towards the end of the race, that's something that drivers will definitely need to be aware of if they're following closely into that chicane. Yeah, for those of you that do live in the UK, if you've never been to Donington Park, it's a great racetrack. I'd suggest it. Or even if you don't live in the UK and you are coming over at some point, it's a great track. But we're going to get underway with qualifying now. We've got 17 drivers there, and you can see from the number boards the different classes. So we're currently seeing Michael de Gore come out of the pits in the number 9 Ferrari, and he's going to make his way round to the start his warm-up lap. So drivers have got 20 minutes. We've already got a yellow flag for door number 30, which is Gomez. I'm not sure what's happened there. He's gone off the track. I'm going to call him Lance Stroll for the rest of this race, just to annoy him, to be honest, because why not? I'm only joking. I'm sure it was a genuine error, and he didn't just drive into the gravel track for a laugh. Right, we're going to. I'll stop that now before Chris tells me I'm no longer allowed to commentate. Right, we're going to see some of our drivers now going down in towards the final corners to start their lap. What you might see on this final corner now is as Vuta comes into the second to last, is into this final corner. He might prep the car a bit and he might go a little bit wider, coming off the racing line to try and maximise his exit into that start-finish straight. Let's see if he does that. And he does not. So this is going to be our first flying lap from the number 213 at McLaren. We're going to go down towards turn 1, absolutely flat out, pedal to the metal, using all of that pit exit, hard on the brakes. A lot of aero in the McLaren, so nice and stable. Oh, I said nice and stable. That was commentator's curse because he nearly stacked it into the wall there. Very, very nice save there through T1. We've got quite a hot track today. It's 23 degrees ambient, 31 degrees track. Alright, down the hill we go, hard onto the brakes, tucking it in nice and tight over that inside curve, very nice. That might have just been within track limits. You can kind of take the mickey a bit there and go a little bit wide. I think he still is within track limits. He's going flat out, right, into the right-hander. Nice and stable through there, unlike the Ferrari, which I can confirm is very slippery. Hard on the brakes, a little bit deep there, missed the apex slightly and a bit wide. He's going to find himself a bit of time there if he can hit that a bit earlier on. Then we're going to go down in towards the chicane for the first time, hard on the anchors and just send it. And through the chicane, very nice. We've got a nice on board there in the bottom right. We're going to see him now coming up hard on the anchors between the two brake mark boards. You really need to trail brake the car here to get it turned in, then back on the throttle as early as you can without getting too much oversteer. And then into the final corner. Very easy to miss the apex on this final corner. It is a blind corner, as you can see from the driver's eye there. And then round the final corner and foot to the floor. That BMW behind is putting him under pressure. But the first lap comes in with a 128.2. And Mark Conway behind beats that with a 127.4. But we saw Vuta go very sideways through that first corner. Alright, Cohen Geens now for DDS Racing in the 711 car, coming down through the hill. Mark Conway is still currently leading. Gallimini is currently in P2, although P1 in class, which is a nice place for him to be in to start off with. We've got just over 16 minutes of qualifying remaining into this fast right. Very nicely cut there from Cohen as he goes down into the chicane, using all of the pit exit. Well, if you're in the stream, come and say hi. Let's see who we've got here and who you're supporting. If there's any drivers in particular that you want to see, give us a shout out. We can have a look and see how they're getting on. But Cohen now in the 711. McLaren coming in to complete his first flying lap. See how he gets on here. It looks like a pretty steady lap. Could use a bit more of the curb on the right there, but no dramas. He comes onto the start-finish straight. Let's see where he ends up. And across the line he goes P3, 4/10 off pole. And Zoltan has gone P2 in that Lexus, who's flying down towards the second to last corner as we speak right now. He was up there, but he ran a little bit deep into that second to last, so we know that he's got a bit of time. As Michael de Gaulle goes P1 with a 127.2. Can Zoltan improve his lap even with that mistake? As we go across the start-finish line in the rocket ship of a Lexus, he remains P3. Very interesting car choice, this Lexus. I think it's certainly one of those cars where it's very fast in a straight line, but tight, twisty, slippery tracks like Donington might make for an interesting drive. As Vrint's now coming through the chicane. He's going to try and improve on that lap time. He's a second off the pace. We saw that lap time happen. He was the first man out on track. He's going to be starting to get used to these conditions now, but he's invalidated this lap, so he's going to have to go again. Michael de Gore just gone into the pits and come straight back out. Quick change of tyres, perhaps. Conway might be on for an improved lap time here. He's 0.2 up. We go across the start-finish line. Is this going to be pole? It is going to be pole. He goes pole with a 1:27.0, and Cohen Geens has just jumped that with a 1:26.9. And there is less than 4/10 between the top four right now. Getting really close. Zoltan's 0.3 up. Let's see if he can nail this second to last. He ran a bit deep on the last lap. He's currently P5. He's going to be looking for an improvement on this lap to see if he can make any inroads into those top three positions, into the final corner, and then foot to the floor in the rocket ship. Across the line we go. Does not change positions. Got a little bit closer to P4, but wasn't quite enough. Ambrosi across the line now, jumps into P6. Nice lap in the Ferrari there with a 27 point, whatever that maths is, cut 5. Right, Matt Pryor, who is 0.8 up now, goes across the start finish line, goes into P4, currently takes P1 in our AM class. Matt Pryor, we've seen in the previous races, has had a lot of pace. And Henry Tons now, for Turger Academy, is currently 0.2 up. He's going to be looking to find a bit of time in the final corner as he comes across the start finish line. And BMW will be very fast around here. And goes to P2 by 0.06 of a second. He's going to be after that P1 time now. As Cohen Geens just improved again, but only by a couple of hundredths of a second. Mark Conway goes into the pitch. Right, we're going to watch Henry Tons now as he comes down the hill. He is closing in on the car in front. The 213 McLaren of Vrint's. Hopefully Vrint's doesn't hold him up. It looks like Vrint's is on a valid lap as well. But this might actually benefit Henry, because down the back straight towards the chicane, he might get a slipstream. Let's see what happens here. Doesn't look like the gap is closing in that much. Right, can Henry make that just under 1/10 of a second and some by utilising the slipstream of the car in front? We're going to see as he goes through the chicane. Hopefully he doesn't invalidate it. That might have been invalid. Yeah, it was invalid. That was unfortunate. It's a tough thing to follow somebody really closely through a corner like that. Aero wash absolutely does exist in this game. Right, Steve Parker in the Ferrari 296, currently down in 15th. He's going to be looking to improve his lap time as he comes down the hill into the chicane. Bill, bit twitchy there through the chicane. That was nicely saved for a moment there. Steve could have quite easily ended up in the wall. But that lap is over for Steve with an invalidation and a big moment there through the chicane. And no doubt we're going to see some of those in the race itself. People will certainly be pushing the limits, and especially in those first few laps as he moves over to let Frans van der Linden through for Sim Racing Holland in the number 65 McLaren, who is currently 0.3 up as he comes across the start-finish line. He goes from P12 up to P9. Good effort there from van der Linden. As he pulls over to the side, and no doubt we'll be going back to the pits, take some fresh tyres, refuel the car, and off he goes again. Right, Dario Bonanella in the Ferrari. Not set a lap time yet, so as he comes through the chicane, that looked like quite a nice chicane, to be fair. The Ferrari very boggy on this next corner. It was so nice that he invalidated it, so no lap again for Bonanella. Apologies. But we'll see what you can do. He's still got plenty of time. We've got just just under 10 minutes. Bang on 10 minutes of qualifying left. So plenty of time for these guys to get some laps in. Hello Andy and Chris in the stream. Hiya mate, how are you doing this evening? Right, Gallimini now, the Italian driver for DMF course in the, although I don't know if that's the name of the livery that ACC give it rather than the team name. Currently P2 in class. across the start finish line, goes to P6. Nice lap. We've got just over 7/10 of a second separating the top 10 right now. Very tight, no doubt. Arjen van der Linden this time, he's currently a second off. He jumps up 3/10 up to P11 in the BMW, the number 14. The track will be ramping up a bit now as well. Drivers will be really finding their feet. Bit of oversteer there on the throttle for van der Linden. But yeah, drivers will be starting to find their feet a little bit with these track temps and the conditions. Cohen Geens, your current pole sitter, still trying to improve. He knows that Henry Tons, Michael de Gore are very close to his lap time. So no doubt he's going to want to be improving that. As he comes down towards the chicane, which I have no idea what the name of it's called. I'm just going to call it the chicane. Hard on the brakes, using all the aero from that McLaren, and then into the last couple of corners. Now I'm not sure on the McLaren, but on the Ferrari you have to knock it down a couple on the traction control just to get a nice exit, because otherwise it's like setting off in 4th gear and it's just awful. McLaren looks nice and stable through there though, and doesn't look very boggy, so it don't feel like you have to. You normally run quite low traction control anyway on the Macca. Into the final corner, foot to the floor, don't want to go onto the grass, which he doesn't. And across that start finish line, and he improves again, so up to a 126.6 for Cohen Geens, with a 2/10 gap to P2. So that was a great lap there, and he's going to be very happy with that. Certainly a challenge for somebody to try and take that pole position off him, but Mark Conway is definitely going to have a go now in the BMW. We've seen some great pace from Mark in previous rounds. That BMW is very fast around Donington. Can we see an improvement from Mr. Conway? We're on the limit at the moment, so it's going to come down to this last corner. He's under a bit of pressure. I'm not sure he's going to find 4/10 in this final corner, if I'm completely honest. That would be one hell of a final corner, but we're going to come across the start-finish line. He's in 4th, 4/10 off pole, cross the line, no improvement. Mark stays where he is. Right, he's going to try again. Let's see if he can make any inwards onto it, but Hamish now in the 608 Ferrari, currently down in P17, goes across the start finish line, jumps to P15, so he finds a few tenths there, and goes into turn 1 very close to the car in front. So be interesting to see what happens in terms of pace between these two drivers. Then he goes off the track, never mind. That is not how you want to start that lap. And oh, my big moment there for the Mustang behind as well. Turn 1 is very slippery. Hamish is giving way to the drivers there. I wasn't sure quite how many drivers were coming through, but he remained off the racing line. Right, Mark Conway again. He's currently 4/10 off. He's got pace. The BMW is strong around here. There is LFM BOP applied. So for those of you that don't know what LFM BOP is, it's basically a way for the cars to be balanced. So certain cars will have a bit of weight added to them, certain cars will have a bit of weight taken away from them. It's a way to try and balance the performance of the cars. You know, some cars will naturally be better on some tracks than others. And that is the purpose of BOP. Right, Mark Conway into the final corner. We've got just under 6 minutes of qualifying. He's 0.3 of a second up. If you can find a 10th in that final corner, this might be pole. That looked like a really nice final corner. Foot to the floor, across the start finish line. It's P2. He's 1/10 off pole, but either way, that's a good lap. And he's going to be pushing now. He wants those extra few bits of time. Right, Zoltan in the Lexus. 7/10 up. Currently in P8, P6 in class. Let's see what he can do. He's the only Lexus in this league. That is a very nice corner through there. That is a really tough corner to get right, because the turning point is actually also blind. So what you tend to find is people turn in and they either completely miss the apex because you just can't see it, or they turn in too early and you end up on the grass or missing the exit. Zoltan just nailed that, and it looks like he's had quite a good chicane as well as we go in towards the second to last corner. Hard on the brakes. Let's see what he can do in the 522 Lexus. Bit of oversteer there, bit deep, but hopefully, yeah, he was up on his lap there, but unfortunately seems to have dropped that back down. So he's gonna have to run again and just see if he can make any inroads, but stays where he is for now in P8. Right, Mark Conway. At one point, Mark, I would actually say your name right, even though it's probably the simplest last name on the grid. We'll try again. Mark Conway into the final corner. Using all the exit there. He's 0.1 up. Oh, he's just got onto pole. He's taking it off Cohen Geens by 0.03 of a second. And Cohen Geens is going to be out on track thinking, no way. No way. And Mark Conway now is going to be boxing, taking some fresh tyres, taking a bit more fuel and going again, because actually that is so close for that pole position. And trust me when I say this, you really do want to be pole and not P2. Because that inside line into turn 1 is really important. Right, Paolo Ambrosio into the second to last in the 42. Ferrari very twitchy through there. That was surprising in the Ferrari. It's bog heaven through there. If you like a bit of bog, that is the corners to go for. That is him into the final corner. See if he can improve. He's 9/10 off pole at the minute. No, stays where he is. P11. Guys, if you're in the stream and you're watching, give us a wave, give us a hello. Let's see who we've got, and if there's any drivers you want to see, again, just shout them out. Let's see who you're supporting. If you're in here as a team member for somebody, shout them out, and we can jump on board and give them some screen time. Right, we were going to watch Prince, but he's decided that he really didn't like that Pirelli board, and has gone off the track. But he's up to P4 now. He's 2/10 off. He's 2.5 tenths off pole. He's joint P3 with Henry Tons, which is a touch frustrating, because if he'd have been 1,000th of a second faster, he'd be starting on the inside. But that's still a good lap, and he's going to be wanting to improve. Right, Matt Pryor, currently P2 in class, P7 overall. Can he make any changes to what his current position looks like? There's 2 minutes left. He's going to get 2 laps. And he's across the line. He can make inwards onto it. He's into P6 now, so he's gone P1 in class. Great lap from Mr. Pryor in the Wyvern Racing Ford Mustang. Right, Cohen Geens, 300ths of a second off pole. Doesn't look like Mark Conway is going back out on track to do another lap, although he definitely has time, so if he wants to go out, he needs to do it quickly. Right, can Cohen find any time? Any time at all will put him pole. McLaren looking very, very planted through there. He's got a Mustang of, I believe that might be Matt Pryor behind him, but he doesn't need to worry about that right now. He needs to focus on hitting the apex. That's nice and early, hitting all the green stuff on the inside. Not very slippery through that. I mean, I'm a bit jealous of how stable that McLaren is through there, because the Ferrari was not last week. He's currently down on his lap by half a second, so he needs to find some magic through these last corners, but I'm not sure he's going to. He might have to think about this next lap, and it being a bit of a do or die lap. He doesn't want to get in the way of the Mustang behind that's on a flyer though. And is he going to move out the way for the Mustang, or is he just going to go for it? Let's see what happens here. Into the final corner we go. Michael de Gore goes, wow, look at the gap between P1 and P3. Michael de Gore is 100th of a second off Mark Conway. If I was Geens now, I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't even be doing another lap. I'd rather be, this is personal preference and all drivers will be different, I'd rather be third than second on this grid, I think. But Cohen doesn't think like that. And after all, we're all pretend racing drivers and we want to be as far up that qualifying order as we can. And he wants that pole position. He needs just a smidge of time. So let's see if he can find it. Looks nice and stable through the first sector. Into this fast right. Very slippery through there, but not for the McLaren with its high aero. Beautiful corner there. And again, another slippy corner, turning in nice and early. Nicely done across the green stuff, and then foot to the floor. And this will be his last lap. So it's going to be do or die through the chicane. Let's see if he can... you've just got to send it at this point, haven't you? Lick the stamp, send it, and that is exactly what he's done there. That looked quite nice. If that wasn't invalid, that was pretty quick, I think. We're going to go into the second to last. There is a car in front. Let's hope that they don't hold him up, because Cohen is going for pole. You might get a bit of a slipstream here, which might be helpful. That car looks like it's moving out the way. It is. Into the final corner. Can Cohen Geens take pole position at Donington Park? Cross the start finish line, and third place it is. We got all drivers apart from Van der Linden currently finishing their qualifying time. So Mark Conway takes pole position with a 1:26.6, unless Van der Linden finds a second. He doesn't invalidate and gets very slippery. So Mark Conway on P1 starts on pole, Marco de Gaulle P2, and Cohen Geens in the P3. That is your top three for this evening. Like I say, it's going to be an interesting race. We've got a couple of minutes now where drivers just spend a bit of time prepping their car, making sure that it's set up and ready for the race. What they'll be doing, if you're not familiar with how ACC works, is they will be setting their tyre pressures, making sure they're correct for the temperatures of the race. They'll probably already know what they are from qualifying. They'll be setting the right fuel, and they'll be setting up their pit stop. And what that does is it saves them time in the race, having to mess around with their wheel and all the settings of trying to make sure that it's all correct and as it should be. That's one thing you don't want to be doing as a driver, and it's something that happens on ACC quite a lot, is that you're a driver, you're an engineer, and you've got to be a mathematician at times as well to try and work out how much fuel you actually need, because you don't want to overfuel because it adds weight to the car, but you certainly don't want to underfuel because you don't want to be fuel saving. It's not that easy really to fuel save and still be fast on ACC. So drivers certainly need to be making sure they're accurate with their maths. But yeah, tough qualifying session that, but yeah, it's going to be close. Our top three separated by 300ths of a second, so no doubt it's going to be a good race. And if it's anything like the Tier 1 race that happened last week, anybody could win. It doesn't really matter where you start on the grid. People might get drive-throughs, people will probably crash, people will make mistakes. It's a tight track. You've got to be a little bit opportunistic when it comes to making an overtake, but you've also got to be safe. And I think if you're safe enough, but bold and brave, you'll do well. But the toughest thing is staying on the track, staying consistent. Consistency is most certainly the key thing at Donington Park. Right, guys, let's see who's in the stream. We've got 7 or 8 people watching. It'd be good to get a bit of a chat going on. So, if you're in the stream, what drivers are you supporting? Let's see who's here. Mr. CJ89 says, "Good luck to those who are racing. Unfortunately, can't participate. Shame can't join in, mate. Hopefully, you enjoy the commentary and you get a lot of action. And I hope it doesn't make you too jealous that you can't race, but hopefully next time around." Right, we're on the starting grid now. We've got a 2-minute countdown time, and you can see that Mark Conway is your pole sitter. De Gaulle in the number 9 car is in P2, and Cohen Geens in P3. That leads and all three of those separated by less than half a tenth. Half a hundredth? Is that even a thing? Then we've got Henry Tont in P4 in the BMW. We've got Vrints in P5 in the 213 McLaren. Then we've got our pole sitter in P6 or P1 in class, Matt Pryor in the Ford Mustang. We've got Zoltan in the bright green Lexus there, and we've got P2 in our AM class, which is Gallimini in the 777 Ferrari. In P9 we've got Frank Hopp in the 217 and only Lamborghini on the grid. Then we've got Van der Linden in the 65 McLaren, Ambrosio in the 42 Ferrari, another Van der Linden, not related, in the 14 BMW, Gomez in the only Nissan on the grid in P13, Bonanella in P3 in AM in P14 on the grid, Neugbauer in the 608 Ferrari in P15, Vervat P4 in class in the BMW number 73, and then rounding up our grid for this evening is Steve Parker in the 44 Ferrari. Now, although Steve's starting at the back here, that might not necessarily be a bad place to start, because Donington's tight, Donington's twisty, Donington's not really got that many good overtaking spots apart from maybe into the chicane, which is brave at the best of times, and maybe turn 1 or 2, but again, it's quite brave. it can quite easily become a procession. But what that does mean is it makes for some very good racing. So drivers go for moves that under normal circumstances might not go for. Puts a lot of pressure on the stewards when accidents do happen, but it also puts a lot of pressure on the drivers because actually you spend a bit of time driving in your mirror. You spend a bit of time trying to force a move, so it becomes a bit of a psychological warfare. So what you might see this evening is drivers sticking a nose up the inside, not to try and overtake, but just to make the other driver aware that I'm here and I'm waiting for that moment where you make a mistake and I'm going to capitalise on it. It's that sort of psychological warfare that you might see happening at Donington Park. We've got 15 seconds to go. We're going to go into a quick formation lap. It's only a minute 30, minute 25 of a lap, give or take. And then we'll go racing. We've got 1 hour, so 1 hour. Track temp's gone a little bit colder, down to 22 ambient, 31 track. But Mark Conway is going to lead us off into the formation lap. Now this is an opportunity for drivers to warm up their tyres. Baz has commented in the stream saying good luck guys on the final race of the season. And it is going to get underway very shortly. But Mr. Conway has got all the weight of the world on his shoulders right now to try and hold off De Gore and Geens, who have put in basically the same qualifying lap time, if we're honest. Although Conway won't think of it like that. No doubt if he watches this stream back, he'll be like, no, it wasn't the same lap time. I beat them. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. But Mark's got a lot of pressure to try and hold off, well, the whole pack behind him, essentially. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. It's going to be a good race. It's a 60-minute race this evening. And if you're just joining us, these guys have got to take tyres and fuel. There is no pit window, but tyres and fuel are both mandatory. It'd be interesting to see what people do in terms of strategy here. So if you're towards the back, do you pit a little bit earlier? Maybe hope for an undercut. One thing drivers do need to be aware of on this particular track is that if you box early, make sure you don't come back out in the traffic that you just tried to avoid. Because that can be a little bit heartbreaking, because then you end up not getting an undercut or an overcut, you just get held up. I'm being told it's mandatory tyres only and no fuel, so maybe drivers will have a slightly different strategy. Right, we're getting in towards the chicane now. We're 3/4 of the way through this formation lap, and you can see their drivers in Formula 1 style starting to warm up their tyres. There's a nice onboard shot from Mr. Conway. And then the outside, it's not quite a heli cam, it's more of a drone cam. I'm not quite sure what that is really. It's quite high up, but not really high enough up to be a helicopter or a drone. I don't know what that is. Drivers will start to line up 2 by 2 as they go in towards the final few corners. And they'll be limited to 43 miles an hour. And the lights will then go green and we'll be underway in racing. Conway is going to start on the inside, De Gore on the outside, and Geen on the inside. So no doubt this is going to be a good start, and hopefully everyone gets away nice and clean. I wonder how much Mark is sweating right now. Right, we're about to go racing here at Donington Park for the final round of the SSRI Season 7 GT3 Championship.
Green light.
This lights out and away we go. That is a fantastic start from De Gore, who looks to go round Conway, but Conway manages to cover him off. Geens didn't quite get the start that he wanted. It's nice and steady through turn 1. We've got a bit of side-by-side action in the background there. Geens getting a little bit sideways there, but no real dramas as we go down the hill for the first time. Conway still leads this pack away and has had a fantastic start. There's no real dramas at the front that we thought there might be, and there's no yellow flags either, which looks like a great start from our Tier 2 drivers as we head back up the hill and into the fast right-hander. Mark under all the pressure in the world now, and the top 3 are relatively close here. Right, Cohen Geens actually seems to have dropped down into P4, and Henry Tons has managed to get through there. Apologies, didn't quite see that happen there. But Cohen not going to be too stressed about that, I don't think. We're in the very, very early stages of this race. Matt Pryor for the AM class is hanging on to P1 in class as well. As we go into the chicane for the first time, nice and clean from the lead cars. Let's keep an eye on that track map to see if anybody gets yellow flagged. No dramas there whatsoever. And that was a very clean start. The 42 car of Ambrosio looks like he's dropped off the pack a little bit there. I'm not quite sure what's happened to Ambrosio, but I've not seen a yellow flag pop up. Is this a move up the inside into the final corner? Oh, we're too wide. That's very deep on the brake. That was so close in the background there from that Ferrari. I'm not sure who that was, but there was nearly a death there. Right, we're going to... it was Bonanella. And he's under pressure now in towards turn 1 from Gomez. Gomez looks to the inside in that Nissan. He's going to try and take it. Is Bonanella aware that he's there? He is aware. He gives him space. They're going to go too wide down the hill. The Nissan is a rocket ship, and I don't think that Ferrari is going to be able to compete. It is not going to be able to compete. Bonanella is going to open himself back up, as Van der Linden there is nearly too wide into this fast right-hander. That is a tough corner to go too wide into. Very, very challenging because... there just isn't room. You just can't capitalise on the exit. It's almost not worth it. De Gaulle with a purple lap there. But that was only the outlap. Too wide in the background there. That's very... Oh, there's a little bit of contact. There is contact. They're off of each other and all sorts. That was spicy. That was interesting. Not sure what happened there. A bit of lag involved potentially, but there's certainly a collision. Bonanella... seems to have come away a little bit unscathed there. Not sure how much damage has gone. Right, Matt Pryor currently leading the AM class through the chicane, but Vrints in the 213 McLaren is not giving him any breathing space whatsoever as we go into that second to last corner. To be honest, if I'm Matt right now, am I bothered that there's a car behind that's in a different class? I don't know if I would be. I'm not sure. We all want to win, right? We all want to be further up the pack, but maybe you want to just keep that P1. Cohen Geens takes purple lap on our second lap of the race, so it shows that he's still got the pace. There's still less than 2 or 3 seconds between the lead cars here, but Matt is going to be under pressure from that 213 McLaren. We're coming down the hill. The gap is getting a little bit closer. Let's see how Matt Hacks stands up to the pressure. Right, we're going to go back up the hill. Mustang is rapid in a straight line, so if Matt can stay ahead going down towards the chicane, I think he'll be in a good spot. That McLaren, I'd be worried right now if I was in that McLaren. First reason is there's a Lexus behind me, and that Lexus is absolutely alien fast. But there's a Mustang in front of me, which is rapid in a straight line, but not that quick through the corner, so it's probably holding him up overall throughout a lap. But it's very, very difficult to overtake. So Cohen is going to, is going to have to do something special, and he looks like he might be trying to do it here, but gets a little bit of oversteer on the exit of the chicane there. And that's not quite what he wanted. He would have wanted to keep that planted. Into the final couple of corners we go. Is he going to look to the inside here? No, he's not. And Matt Pryor holds on to P5 and P1 in class. And Mark Conway is starting to drive away from the pack now. He's just under a second ahead of P2 at the minute, which is Michael de Gaulle. And he's going to be quite happy with that. He's had a fantastic start. He's just took purple lap. He's going to start to drive away. And that's Steve Parker and what looks like Ambrosio off the track there in the final corner. Both in Ferraris. Look like they've had a bit of a coming together. And I think that was a bit of commentator's curse there. I said on the starting grid, if I was Steve Parker, I wouldn't be too worried about starting at the back because you can avoid the accidents. But somehow he's found himself in an accident, and now he's got a bit of a recovery drive. Right, Vervat now in the third BMW on track. He's looking to chase down Gomez in the GTR. You don't see the GTR very often in these races, so it's nice to see a variety of cars. But can Vervat make anything happen? He's got a few places to jump up here, really. Vervat could take P3 in class, but he needs to get himself up to P12. He needs to get ahead of Bonanella. Long way to go yet. Could certainly happen. He's just got to put the time in as we go in towards the chicane. That's a bit. Oh, Matt Pryor is off the track. Our lead AM driver has gone off. Vrints is also off, and Matt Pryor has dropped all the way down the order. Currently down in 15th through the chicane. Remember what I said earlier about people trying to be brave, be bold? I think that might have been a situation of what's happened there. We'll try and get a replay. Not sure if we will, but we'll try and get one. And we'll see what happened to Matt Pryor there. He's got a bit of a drive to do now. He would have most certainly lost the lead in AM class as well, which is going to be a bit frustrating for him. We've seen him in the past before where he's had incidents which have not been... Oh, that was very close into T1 there. Which have not necessarily been his fault per se, but he's recovered well from them. Let's see what he can do here. Van der Linden is under a bit of pressure going down the hill. Pryor is in the pits if you look on the timing board. Right, Van der Linden from Sim Racing Holland in the 65 McLaren is putting the pressure on our lead AM class driver. It's only a 10th off now as we head in towards the section where the Ferrari struggles a bit. The Ferrari gets very slippery here, so if the Macca can keep it pinned, he might get a nice run down towards the chicane. In fact, that might be what's just about to happen. Is it going to be an opportunity here for Frans van der Linden? It's not even a fight. Gallimini lets him through. Gallimini decided, I don't want to fight that one. He's faster than me. We're not racing for position in class. Let him through. Matt Pryor is still in the pits. Is he out the race? Or is he fixing damage? No, he's fixing damage. But remember earlier when I said that a pit stop's nearly the length of a lap? He's coming out the pits now, and he's just in front of that lead pack. Mark Conway is going to be catching him up. So Matt Pryor now has come back out. He's obviously fixed a bit of damage that he had because, you know, he's ended up in the wall. He's got a mad recovery drive to try and achieve here. And here's the replay. So we're going to go down in towards the chicane. Mustang in front. That's Matt Pryor and the Mustang in front. Hard on the brakes. That's a send on the from the McLaren there. A bit of contact on the rear quarter. They both spin round. And Matt Pryor doesn't look like he's got much damage there apart from that rear quarter. Does a bit of a 360 and then a 90-degree spin. Gets himself going again. So it doesn't look like he's taken a huge amount of damage there. So I'm not really sure why he's boxed early, unless he's just planning on undercutting people. So let's see. He would have had a bit of damage from the contact on the rear, but I don't think it would have been a phenomenal amount that's worth a pit stop. But it's his strategy. Let's see what he's got planned. He's going to be he's in clean air now. He's got nothing to lose. He just needs to send it. He's got 51 minutes. Get his head down, crack on, and see what we can achieve. Right, Frans van der Linden now, currently up to P6, and that's P6 in class as well. Gallimini let him through on the previous lap, and he's pulled half a second at the moment, so I think that was a smart move from Gallimini. They're not in the same class, they're not fighting for the championship. Let him through, let's not take any risks. We're leading our AM class at the moment. Let's just crack on. If we can keep with him, if we can stick in his slipstream, happy days. Gallimini's job right now is to just keep Bonanella away from him as far as he can and be very wary of Matt Pryor with this undercut. Right, Arjen van der Linden now in the number 14 BMW. I love how much that pit exit you can take. Putting the pressure on Frank Hopp. Not really that close at the minute, only 7/10 off, but we are most certainly getting closer. I wonder if we could do one of those F1 style timing boards that say, right, attacking in 3 laps. Although that's a lot of maths for somebody to do in the background. Van der Linden will be attacking in 15 laps. No, I'm joking. I have no idea. But we'll see what he can do with 7/10 off at the minute. Frank Hopp is the only Lamborghini. It's nice to see a Lamborghini on track. Currently in P8. We've got 50 minutes left to go and putting in consistent laps. Drivers here tonight will be doing probably around 38 to 40 laps, I suspect, of Donington Park, which is a lot. It's a tough track, and it's one of those tracks where there's not really a huge amount of room for error. Yes, there's quite a lot of runoff, but it's all in the sense of grass, so you haven't really got an opportunity to run wide and get away with it. Right, Cohen Geens now is right on the rear axle of Henry Thompson. That BMW has closed the gap up to half a second. Cohen Geens qualified in 3rd, 3/300th of a second off pole. So we know he's got the pace. Henry Thompson will know he's got the pace. The BMW is very strong around here, but so is Cohen. So let's see if he can make anything magical happen and close the gap. But Henry Thompson's pulled away a little bit in that first sector. We're up to 6/10 now, so that gap is getting slightly bigger, but we'll see what happens in the last couple of sectors. Guys, if you're in the stream and you want to see anybody give us a shout out, we can go on board and let us know who you're supporting. It's good to get some support for our drivers in the stream. A lot of these drivers will going green, overtaking 3 laps. There we go. A lot of these drivers will watch the race back and just listen to the commentary, have a look at the chat messages. So come and support the drivers. This is the last round of the Season 7 GT3 Championship. Right, the prediction from our F1 style attacking maths thing that's going on is Cohen Green attacking in 3 laps. Let's see how accurate that is. We're up to 7/10 of a second now, but we're into the final corner, and it's very easy to get it wrong here. You can run really wide, and it is super easy to lose time in that final corner. If you break a smidge deep, you miss the entire apex. It's a kind of do or die corner, really. That final one. He's closed the gap back up in the first corner to 5/10 of a second. Right, 2 laps to go. Let's see if this happens. Overtake in maybe 2 laps. We have really, really sophisticated technology that's used in the background to work out this accurate attacking opportunities. So this is where all the funding goes from these YouTube channels. This looks like, right now, the only major battle that's happening on track. Although Vrints is sat on the rear bumper, actually, of Arjen van der Linden in that BMW. And is this going to be an opportunity into the chicane? He had a look there, but it's a bit brave from that far back into the chicane, and you really do need to put the trust on the driver in front. Through we go. No, not close enough on this occasion. Tarvi in the stream said Tonts deserves the promotion. Hopefully keep up a good fight. Yeah, Tonts has done well. He qualified 4th. He's currently up to P3. And Cohen Geens, he's sort of maintaining the pace really together. Although Cohen's just closed it by 3/10. Right, into the final corner we go with Vrints. He is getting closer to the back of van der Linden. The challenge on this track, like I said to you guys earlier, is you just need to drive your line. Drive your normal racing line. You don't need to over defend, and people just can't get past. It is a track for opportunistic people. But let's see if Vrints can make anything happen. Oh, that was a big moment there. Right, we've got on the bottom right hand corner, we've got Cohen Geens on the bottom right, and in the on the mainstream we've got Vrints, who is sat right on the rear axle right now of van der Linden. Van der Linden is going to be feeling this pressure. Is this going to be a move down into the chicane? So van der Linden under pressure. That BMW is fast in a straight line. That McLaren has got the aero though, and Vrints looks like he's going to settle in behind. The gap between Geens and Tonts is 3/10, but doesn't look like there's too much of a fight going on there at the minute. But this is getting very spicy on the main screen as Vrints is still putting the pressure on. 4/10 of a second. Into the braking zone we go, into the final corner. Is this going to be a nice exit for Vrints? Can he try and make something happen into turn 1? BMW look nice and stable through there. He's in the slipstream. He's going to go out onto the normal race line. There is not an attacking opportunity here unless he turns into Max Verstappen and just sends it up the inside. Doesn't look like he is going to, although he's trying. It's not quite close enough. That BMW very fast in a straight line. Let's see if there's any opportunity at the top of the hill. McLaren with using all that aero, hard on the brakes, turning in nicely. In a curb there on entry and exit, quite literally on a well, just ascend. To be honest, he's going for it, that's for sure. Right, up the hill we go, turning in nice and tight. I think the only opportunity that Vrints is going to have is either van der Linden makes a mistake, which at the moment he's not doing. He's driving a phenomenal drive. Or it's going to be in the slipstream into the chicane. We saw what happened earlier with Mark Conway into the chicane. It is risky. and there's a lot of trust that is required from both drivers to not have an accident. But we are 0.2 of a second. Is this going to be a send up the inside? It's not. He shows the nose. It's that psychological warfare where he goes, I'm here, you know I'm here. Do not make a mistake, because that'll be my spot if you do. Out in front, Mark Conway is starting to drive away from the pack. We've got a 2.2 second lead now. But this is the fight on track right now. We're just over 15 minutes into this race at the minute. And we are on lap 11. Right, is this going to be the lap for Vrins? Oh, he's a bit closer this time, isn't he? He's a bit closer this time. Is this going to be an attacking opportunity? Or is Van der Linden just going to keep it on the racing line? And maybe defend slightly into this corner? No, there's quite a gap there actually. Maybe up the hill? Getting spicy. I don't think that Vrins is going to get past that easily. I wonder if Vrins is going to consider an undercut. I don't know how much... Oh, and that's a moment. Oh, and that is not what you want to see. And Van der Linden catching a bit too much grass on the exit there into the barriers. And that is a lot of heavy front end damage. And that might be race over for Van der Linden. He is going to be gutted. But ultimately that pressure from Vrins has just bit too hard. And that is a tough corner. You catch the grass slightly and it spins you off and spits you into the barrier. And Van der Linden has gone tumbling down the order. And Vrins goes up into P9. And he's going to be probably a little bit happy about that. Maybe not in the weird sadistic way, but it saved him having to make an overtake. But yeah, that's really unfortunate for Van der Linden there, who's dropped back into P14. Zoltan in a Lexus currently up to P5. He's only 0.8 off Cohen Geens. So Cohen Geens has dropped back from Henry Tons. Henry Tons started to drive away a little bit. And now Geens is going to be starting to feel the pressure from Zoltan. And I'm wondering, we're 20 minutes into this race, or just over. For those drivers that have just gone full send at the start, I'm wondering how much of their tyres are struggling. You know, their tyres starting to grain. Are they starting to feel the pressure? They're starting to slide around a bit more than they'd probably like to. And maybe that's why Geens is dropping off that P3 spot and Zoltan is starting to reel him in. The Macca can be a bit twitchy, but to be fair, looking at the laps from Geens, it does look very planted. But yeah, the Macca can be twitchy, and Zoltan looks absolutely planted in that Lexus. Just under a second between these two drivers right now. Right, into the final corner we go. Cohen Geens actually just closed the gap a little bit further to Tons. So we're down to a second now between Tons and Geens. And Zoltan seems to have dropped off a bit there. Purple lap still remains with Mark Conway. And Matt Pryor is currently down in P17. He's going to be just on ascend now, trying to recover from an early crash. I am very surprised that Van der Linden has not boxed. I am shocked that he is still out on track as we go on board with Paolo Ambrosio into turn 1, and he's got Vervat in the 73 BMW currently chasing him down. Vervat currently P3 in AM class, chasing down one of our silver class drivers and seeing if he can get that overtake done. A lot of these, oh, that's a bit of a moment there, but nicely saved from Paolo. Up the hill we go. Right, hard on the brakes, turning in nice and sharp. And yeah, not really breaking to the pressure at the moment. Doing a fantastic job of keeping him off. Right, into the chicane. We've seen no drive-throughs yet. We've got 39 minutes to go. I wonder how many of these drivers have got track warnings, given the sort of track that we've got. But Paolo not really feeling the pressure from Vervat at the moment. That's for sure. Right, final corner, 39 minutes. We might see people box in the next 9-10 minutes or so as we get into the halfway mark. F1 F2 with Rowe in the Discord says hello, and we're going to go on board with Gomez now, who is going to. I thought he was off the track there, but I think that was just the camera angle. But he's putting the pressure on Frank Hopp in that Lamborghini. So these are our two solo manufactured cars in this championship, and that's yeah, the Lamborghini and the Nissan, two cars that aren't really used as much as they could be at the minute. But that Nissan is a rocket ship, and it's sat on the bumper, and that's somebody in the pits there. I'm not sure who that was for a split second, whether that was a bit of a weird bug. We've ended up on board with Zoltan in the Lexus going into the final corner. The gap to Gaines is not quite as big as, but it's kind of staying the same, but I think Gaines is slowly pulling away. Zoltan gets closer, then he maybe makes a couple of mistakes, or Gaines does a mega lap and starts to pull away. But Ruben Gomez is starting to chase down that P9 position of Mr. Hopp. And tell you what, that Nissan down that back straight, that's not the car you want behind you. Very fast car. Lambo's not horrendous, but yes, the GTR is rapid. But yeah, it's very nice to see some cars in this championship that we wouldn't normally see. Track temperature is starting to get cooler, so we're down now to 29 degrees on the track, 22 degrees ambient. Oh, we're back, I think. Oh, we're back live. Right, there we go. Apologies. Slight technical issue there, but we're back on board with Gomez, who is still only 5/10 off the back of Mr. Frank Hopp. And like I was saying, yeah, that Nissan is not the car that you want behind you as you come down that back straight into the chicane. But Frank's doing a stellar job at the moment, keeping him at bay. We are currently 16 laps into this race. We've got 35 minutes to go. Here's a nice little bonnet cam of... oh, is this an opportunity? You can see just how close it is. You can reach out and grab that rear wing if you wanted to right now. Is he going to make a move up the inside? He's going to back out. Very sensible from Gomez there. And you can see Frank taking a slight defensive line, being in the middle of the track. And that's a bit wide for Frank Hopp. And Frank Hopp has done exactly the same as what Van der Linden did earlier and has stuck a couple of wheels onto the grass, spun himself around, and he's found the barrier. That is not what you want, and he's rejoined right in front of well, I think that's Bonanella, who's stuck behind him now. But yeah, Frank Hopp has most certainly got damage. Is Bonanella going to look up the inside here as well? He is, but he's going to back out of that, and that is really unfortunate. And Steve Parker is off again. It looks like the same place on the track. It looks like they've caught a bit of grass, and you can see the bonnet lifted there as he drives off, but that's a lot of damage for Mr. Parker. He is not having a good day, that is for sure. So Frank Hopp might be coming in to do an earlier pit stop than planned, and I am very surprised Steve Parker hasn't, because that is his second off in this race. Right, Bonanella is staying with Frank. Frank has decided not to box. I'm very surprised. That looked like quite a big hit. Right, Gallimini now is putting the pressure on Frans van der Linden as we go up the hill. We're on lap 17 at the moment, 34 minutes to go. Mark Conway currently leads, but Michael de Gore has took purple lap from Mr. Conway. He's going to try and make some inroads into that spot. Steve Parker comes into the pits, but is this an opportunity for Gallimini up the inside into the chicane? He's going to be sensible, I think, and stay behind. Yes, he is, as we send it through there. We've seen no drive-throughs yet as we get closer towards that halfway mark. And is this an opportunity up the inside? He's showing a nose, but not quite close enough. That's psychological warfare once again, making him aware that he's here. It's actually the leader in AM putting pressure on some of our silver class drivers, so it shows how close the pace is in this tier 2 race. As Zoltan in the Lexus comes into the pits, he's the first one to box that hasn't had a issue of some sort, and a lot of drivers come into the pits. So Gomez is into the pits, Vince is into the pits, Steve Parker's into the pits, but he's had a moment, and that takes Matt Pryor up to P16. This will be really interesting now to see how much of an undercut Matt Pryor has actually had, given that he was up into P5. So this might work out quite well for Matt. Right, Gallimini now putting the pressure on. He wants one of those top 5 spots. He says, I might be an AM, but here's a reason why you need to sit me in silver next season. And I'm going to show you why. And he's giving the pressure to Van der Linde a bit twitchy there, but no real drama. Zoltan's starting to make his way out of the pits. And is there going to be an opportunity into the chicane? Is he going to have a good enough exit? Is he going to have the slipstream? I don't know if that's close enough. That would have to be very brave. And I'm not sure you'd want to risk that P1 in class to try and make a move like that happen. Might be considering an early pit stop though. Might be worth it. If I was Gallimini now, I'd definitely be thinking about it. Steve Parker has not yet come out the pits. It might be race over for Mr. Parker. I think he's parked it. No, he has not parked it, and Parker is back out. So he did fix the damage. He's now 2 laps down off the lead. Bit of a caveat there that the top 12 have not yet boxed, so there is probably not really 2 laps down. But Cohen Geens now putting the pressure back on Henry Tons. He's really closed that gap up down to just less than 0.4 of a second. So there was support for Henry Tons in the stream earlier from Tavi, and he's now under pressure from Cohen Geens. So you're going to get to see Henry Tons and see how he deals with being pressured from a McLaren. But yeah, brilliant drive so far. Started 4th, up to 3rd. He's not bent to the pressure before when Geens was behind him. Let's see if Geens can do anything different. Let's see if Henry does do anything different to try and defend, or whether he just holds his nerve and says, I know I've got the pace, and I know you're not going to try and do anything stupid to risk a potential podium, so I'll just drive normally. But it's going to start to get spicy. And if anybody else is going to consider coming into the pits at just over the halfway mark. Right, down into the final corner we go. The gap remains very similar, around the 4/10 mark. McLaren, so if you know ACC and you know your cars, that BMW will outbrake the McLaren all day, every day. However, the Macca has a lot more downforce. So what I'd expect to see is through the first few corners, the first sector, the McLaren is all over the back of the Beamer. And as soon as we start to get into the heavy braking zones, that's when Henry Tons can capitalise and start to maximise the car that he's got underneath him. As Frans van der Linden comes into the pits in the 65 McLaren. Matt Pryor is currently still down in 16th. He's 18 seconds currently off P15. Still a lot of people to box yet. Still a lot of time to go, so anything can happen. But yeah, this is our battle on track at the minute. And it's not really getting closer. They've been sort of fluctuating with their pace throughout the lap. So, you know, Henry Tons at one point was over 2 seconds ahead. Cohen's pulled it back in to 0.4. Let's see what that looks like as they go into the pits. Frank Hopp into the pits. The other Van der Linden into the pits. Is Cohen going to consider boxing fairly soon? See if he can get an undercut. Let's see what happens here. It's just very consistent, right? These drivers are both driving fantastic races. Henry has no reason to defend. He knows that Geens isn't going to just absolutely send it on him from miles back. As our leader, Mark Conway, comes into the pits, followed by P2 Margaret de Gaulle. That's a very late dive into the pits from Cohen Geens, who decides, yes, I am going to try and go for an undercut. And I did not expect him to send it from all the way over there into the pits. But what that does do is it puts Henry Tons out in P1, although he's not yet boxed, from Toga Academy. So Henry now, he's got himself a little bit of clean air. He's got Matt Pryor ahead, but that's quite a distance at the moment. He's just got to make as many sort of good laps as he can now. All he's got to do is, I'm not sure if he's boxing this lap. Obviously, as commentators, we can't see how much fuel they've taken, but time to send it. Time to go for it, and let's see if he can pull a gap to Geens. Geens is going to have a really good pit stop. Pit stops are so important. You know, if you played any of the racing games, or even iRacing or Forza Motors, whatever it might be, you just sort of go into the pits and that's you park up and that's it. It does it all for you. ACC is a little bit different. You have a pit box to hit, and if you miss your pit box, the pit box engineers drag you back and then lift you up onto the ramps. What that does is that costs you 2 or 3 seconds. So it's really important that you stop in the correct spot. For example, if Geens had missed his pit box in this particular instance, he's potentially lost that position. So it's really important that these drivers get it right. And Henry Tonks is also going to need to try and get it right as he goes into the final corner. Is he going to box? He is going to box, I think. Yes, he is. Right, 50 kilometers an hour pit lane speed. Henry into the pits. I wonder who's going to have the better pit stop, because that's what this is going to come down to. It's going to come down to who's had a good outlap, who's had a good inlap, and who's had a good pit stop. And Geens has come out in front of traffic and not too close to the car in front, although he might be being challenged in the moment by the Ferrari of Gallimini. And in the bottom right there you can see Mr. Tonts in the 143 BMW currently taking his pit stop. Is this going to be an opportunity for the Ferrari up the inside? This might be... no, it's not. He backs out. Ambrosio also in the pits. Right, we're coming into the second to last corner. Lots of on-track battles going on now that pit stops have happened. Henry Tont is making his way out of the pits. I think Henry's got quite a significant lead here over Cohen Greens. Yes, he does. That's Henry out of the pits, and Cohen Greens only just coming around the final corner. That was a fantastic pit stop from Henry Tonts there. Pulled quite a significant gap on Cohen Greens, and Cohen Greens has got some work to do. Best paint job in the YouTube stream. Is that the which car are we on about there? Sorry, just so I know who you're on about. You on about the McLaren? Or are we on about Henry Tonts? Right, Cohen Geens into P9 and Tonts into P6. So I'm not sure if Cohen has come out and he's just hit all this traffic and he's had to make his way around it, or whether he's had a poor pit stop. But Henry Tonts has, yeah, great pit stop. Zoltan has jumped up to P4. And so yeah, I don't know if Zoltan's done something spectacular with his pit stop, but currently in P4. We've got 2 people left to pit. We've got Vervat and Boninella. We're on board with Vervat, currently our on-track leader, as he comes into the pits. Very easy to get a stop-and-go speeding penalty through the pit lane. Boninella decides he wants to stay out on track and continues along down towards turn 1. Best paint job, any? Ah, you mean who has got the best paint job? My personal opinion is I think Zoltan in the Lexus has probably got the best paint job. Just because it's bright green and pretty chaotic, and it's a Lexus, which is a mental car to choose in itself. So if the paint job and the car describes Zoltan, I'd say he likes chaos in his life. I think you have to like chaos to be willing to drive the Lexus, especially around Donington. Right, Vervat into the pits. I think he's going to get jumped by quite a few people, but he's currently P2 in AM class. So he's got to just stay ahead of Gallimini. Matt Pryor up to 13th now, and only 6/10 off the back of Frank Hopp. So great recovery from Mr. Pryor so far. And Zoltan is... he's ended up in front of Tont. He's ended up in P3. So that's... yeah, one hell of a... whatever he's done strategy-wise has really paid off for him, because... he was in front, he was behind Tonts when he boxed, and he's come out in front by 1.5 seconds. Right, Gomez now is putting the pressure on Mr. Geens. That Nissan GTR is just rapid down that back straight. Bit twitchy there, didn't really like the curb on the exit, but Cohen is maintaining the gap. Into the braking zone we go. Right, Boninella, our last and final driver who needs to box, is currently in the pits, and we'll be interested to see where he comes out. Once Boninella comes back out the pits, that is all drivers having completed their mandatory pit stop, and then we've got just over 20 minutes to go for the end of the Donington race and also the end of season 7. So we've had quite a lot of action so far. Gomez now is thinking, I'm sure Gomez when he boxed was P10, so he's now up to P9. It might even be P8 once the timing board updates, because Bondanella is still being shown as being in the pits, even though we're into turns 2, 3 and 4 at the moment. But the leader at the minute, Mark Conway, has pulled a nearly 6-second gap to De Gore. So I wonder if he's going to beat Max Verstappen's gap that he had the weekend. But yeah, Mark started on pole, currently got a massive lead. He has no reason to take any risks. He's not really near any back markers. He just needs to drive now, bring this one home, and have a nice evening. Go to bed, because nice drive out for Mark today if he can maintain it. But like we've seen from a couple of drivers prior, though, including Matt Pryor, it's very easy for it to go wrong. So he needs to maintain that level of focus. We've seen 2 drivers hit the wall by just clipping a little bit of grass. Really tricky corner for sure, but you know it can go wrong very quickly. And Mark currently is not the fastest man on track. Michael De Gore behind him is the fastest man, who's currently in P2, so he's going to want to be closing the gap. Henry Tons is now only a second off Zoltan in that Lexus, which is getting close. And Matt Pryor's up to P11. He's 3/10 off Frank Hopp at the minute. So Matt went from P5, got spun out, had a bit of an accident, ended up back down the order. Not sure where he was. He was like P6, P15, P16. And he's now on a recovery drive. It looks like he's got past Ambrosio. I'm not sure if that was in the pits. And he's now on a hunt to try and get up into that top 10. He's currently P2 in class, so he'll be very happy with that. He is under a lot of pressure from that Ferrari, from our silver driver, from Paolo Ambrosio behind. But the Mustang is a rocket ship in a straight line, so as long as he gets his exit right and he hits the apexes, he should be okay to hold on to P11. Ambrosio goes a little bit deep there, but manages to hold on to the back. Frank Hopp is under pressure now. This is going to get super spots. We've got a 3-0 battle, and they're all using that exit curb. Ferrari looking up the inside. Frank Hopp going defensive. We're going to have a drag race down to the back straight, and I'm pretty confident I know who's going to win this, and it wouldn't surprise me if Mr. Pryor was alongside into the chicane. He's backed out. No, he hasn't. Oh, I don't know what's going on. Is he going to send it? No, he's backing out. That Mustang is rapid. This is going to get super spicy. Is Ambrosio going to look and try and make an opportunistic move up the inside of Matt Pryor? Matt Pryor goes defensive and moves across. He knows exactly what was coming there. Nice, smart driving there. Oh, bit of contact on the rear from Ambrosio driving into the back of Pryor, but no harm done. Bonanella's into the pits again. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure what's happened there, but it looks like it might be race over, and he's returned to garage for some reason. So I've just been informed there was a yellow flag at the Craner curve, so not sure what's happened there. We might potentially be able to get a replay, but it looks like he's returned to garage and he might be out of this race. Although he's not lashed yet, but Steve Parker's certainly going to be happy because it gives him a position to gain back. But this is the battle on track at the minute. It is getting spicy. Matt Pryor knows that if he can get a good exit onto that back straight, he's got an opportunity to take P10 off Mr. Hopp. Mr. Hopp will also be very aware that... no, Ambrosio looking up the inside. No, not going to happen. Matt Pryor goes defensive. This is where it's do or die now, I think. I think one of these drivers is going to send it very shortly. That Ferrari is not going to be alongside that Mustang by the chicane. Despite having a slipstream. Sorry, mate, you're just not. I know that because I drive the Ferrari. Not quite anything. Nothing happening this time around. Ambrosio dropped back a little bit there. Frank Hopp still under pressure. Is that going to be a move, or is that just him showing a nose? No, that was him getting very close. I think that was a move, and then he thought, "God, I'm a bit close," and tried to back out of that at the last minute. But that was super close to being a collision into the second to last corner. Right, we're going to have a drag race now down towards turn 1. Whilst this battle's happening, because it's all kicking off and the lap times are getting slower, Vervat in the number 73 BMW is starting to close the gap. So towards the end of this race, in the next 18 minutes, this is going to get spicy. Right, we've got a bit of a replay here. Let's see what happened. We're going through the curves now. No, nice and clean so far. Into the brake. Oh, okay. Has he had a technical issue? Has he had a wheel disconnect? So not sure what's... and then return to garage. Okay, so not sure what's happened there to Bonanella. Come down the hill, hit the brakes, and then return to garage. So don't know if he's had a technical issue, whether something's happened, but it looks like he is out of this race. But speaking of out of this race, Ambrosio certainly is not, and he is trying to make his way past Matt Pryor. He's going to be getting frustrated in that Ferrari because he'll be faster everywhere but this straight, and this is the only place where you might actually be able to overtake someone. And it's just not happening for him, as he misses the braking point ever so slightly there and runs deep, and Matt gets a nice exit. Frank Hopp's starting to drive away a bit. He'll be quite happy to see Ambrosio putting the pressure on Matt, so he can worry about his own race and not having to worry about being attacked by a quite large Mustang behind him. There's an interesting thing that could happen here. So if I was Frank Hopp right now and I knew Matt was a bit quicker than me, but Ambrosio was a bit quicker than Matt, I'd probably be being a little bit naughty, and I'd not intentionally slow people down, but I'd probably, if I could, where possible, I'd back Matt up into Ambrosio, let them two fight, and I'd drive away and get a bit of clean air for a little bit. But we've got a bit of a battle going on here with the 213 McLaren as well. So he's under pressure from Cohen Geens, and he's chasing down Frans van der Linden. If I've got that right, there's 3 Maccas in a row. I think that's right. Yes, it is right. Cool. As we go into the chicane, so this is where it gets interesting. All 3 of these cars have got the same level of performance. A little bit deep there from Geens. We know Geens has got phenomenal pace around here. If he can make these moves happen, he can see himself up into the top 5. Vince is going to certainly want something to happen, and Frans van der Linden is under a lot of pressure to try and hold off that spot. My screen lagged for a split second there, and I thought somebody absolutely sent it into the final corner, which is why I hesitated. Right, into turn 1 we go. There is less than a second and a half that separates these 3 drivers, significantly less once you get the Constantina effect into the braking zone. And this is going to be a battle of skill, determination, wits. Who can hold on? Who's got the biggest balls? Who can hold their nerve? And let's see. Let's just see what happens. If you're the car in the middle right now, that's a really awkward spot to be in. You've got to attack, you've got to defend, you need eyes in front, you need eyes behind, you need to hit your apexes. There's a lot of things for that. Oh, that's a bit twitchy, but nicely held there. And that is where we've seen 2 or 3 drivers this race get spat off into the barrier. It is a tough corner, and the moment you put a wheel on that grass, it just rotates the car, and there is nothing you can do. You're just a passenger at that point, and a passenger that's going towards the wall very quickly. Very frustrating. Mr. CJ89 in the chat says, I'm hoping for this end. I'm so hoping for the what? I've forgotten how to read apparently. I'm so hoping for this end result of this race. If my calculations are right, I'm still champion of the silver class. Is that if it stays as it is? I assume that's what you mean. So if Mark wins, are you? So let's have a look at the. I can have a look at the standings real quick and just see what position. So in silver class, yeah. So in P1 is Carl Van Horn with 67 points. P2 is Zoltan, who's got 61 points, and Mark Conway is P3 with 53 points. So yeah, if you're assuming that you're Carl, because that makes sense, you haven't used a drop round yet, so that'll become this round. It will be, yeah, we'll certainly be close. I'm not going to try and do the math live on stream because that'd be very embarrassing and nobody wants to hear me do mental arithmetic. And I'm certainly not going to be going to get a pen and paper. But yeah, it'll be close, and we'll see what happens. But to be honest, Mark Conway is leading this race. He's led it from the start. He's put in a phenomenal stint. We'll just see what happens. Vrinch right now is... you know what, I don't think he's under that much pressure right now from Geens. I don't think he's worried too much about it. Geens is showing a nosy. He's like, look, I'm here, getting himself in the mirrors, but Vrinch knows he's too far back. So I think he needs to just concentrate on trying to get that move done on Van der Linden. Let's see what happens. So Vrinch and Geens are teammates, I believe. So those two will be trying to, where possible, work together. I think to try and catch this car up. Although they're not a team in this championship, that's for sure. So they might well be team orders to just battle it out, see what happens. I wonder if they're going to do a McLaren and say swap positions, swap positions. But I don't know where these guys are in the championship. I wonder which one of them will prefer to call themselves Oscar Piastri and which one would prefer to be called Lando Norris. Though I'll let them decide that one. Sandra says fingers crossed for Mr. CJ89 in the chat for winning the championship. Bonanella is definitely out of this race, so we'll have to try and find out what happened from Bonanella, whether he's had a technical issue, whether he's had a glitch, or whether something else has happened. Hopefully it hasn't, but he's definitely gone out. We've got nothing in the SSRI chat at the moment to indicate why this might have happened, but he is down 5 laps and currently parked up in the pits as this battle continues on track. It's still getting tight. We've got 12 minutes to go. Yeah, let's see. Track temp's a little bit colder, which means lap times might be getting a bit quicker, but tyres are going to be warm. These guys have been driving now for 35 minutes. Sorry, my maths wasn't mathing then. Don't know what I'm saying. Forget everything I've just said. There's 11 minutes left. Don't know why I said 35 minutes. Some of them would have been driving for about 25 minutes since they boxed. Is probably where my head was going with that one. Right, anyway. Battle out on track. Let's see if anything happens. It's pretty consistent at the moment. I think that's kind of sort of staying where it's at. That was a really nice run there though from Geens through that mid sector. And if you can get a nice run here, he might have an opportunity in the slipstream. So it's Maka versus Maka. That slipstream is definitely there. Is Geens close enough? He's come out. He's pulled out the slipstream. He's not close enough either this time. There is some stuff that might cause variability between the McLarens though. So if somebody's running a different wing setting, for example, they might be faster through the corners or faster down the straight, depending on what level of wing they've got. And again, it depends on their driving style and how they like a car to be settled. But is this going to be an opportunity into the final corner? I just don't quite think he's close enough. He's certainly getting closer. He's certainly got the pace. That's very close. Oh, and that was a bit late, I think, for Geens on the brakes there. But he still managed to get an okay exit. He had to back out of that one slightly to make sure there wasn't a collision. But he is reeling him in. It's just, can he make something happen? Is the question. Can he make something happen? Right, down the hill we go. The gap looks quite big here, right? But watch when they break. Watch this close up big time. Van der Linden's going to be super happy that these two are starting to fight because we're at the 10 minutes remaining mark now. We've got a yellow flag. It's a 297 car that's just gone off, and that's Bonanella, who's come back out on track despite being 7 laps down. He's currently on the infield, parked up at turn 1. He's not parked. He's now moving again. He needs to be careful on the rejoin here. There's several cars coming past. He's aware of them. He's slowed down. Bonanella's going to go and finish this race. He's 7 laps down. We'll try and find out what's happened from him after as to why he pulled over. But race on. Race on. I think what we'll probably see here is we've got 9 minutes and 20 seconds or so remaining. These guys will play a bit of a psychological game with each other. They won't make any daft moves. They'll kind of, if there's an opportunity that presents itself, they'll go for it. They'll try and create opportunities. I think in the last couple of laps is when we might start to see people turn a little bit braver and say, right, it's the last round of the championship. It's the last few minutes. Let's see if we can just make something happen. Into turn 1 we go. That looked a bit nicer there from Geens, but not really close. And Van der Linden is just doing a stellar job out in front. Not really feeling the pressure, not really got a need to defend, and he's just driving away. Right, in the bottom right-hand corner, we've got Mr. Pryor, who is currently up to P11 after his massive undercut. He's feeling the pressure from Frank Hopp in that Lamborghini. If you look in our bottom right hand corner of the stream right now, he got past Frank Hopp. And now Frank is putting the pressure back on him. And I think some of that is because Matt's tyres might be falling off a cliff. He boxed with 50 minutes or so remaining on the clock. So he's been going for just over 40 minutes or so now. Maybe a little bit longer. And I think he's starting to struggle with tyres, which is why it's allowing Frank to close the gap back up to him. But the fact that he's gone from what was basically last up to P11 is a phenomenal effort, really. We're going to see about 5 or 6 more laps of this race. But Conway is currently leading. De Gore is actually closing the gap, in fairness. We're down to 4.3 seconds. I'm not sure if De Gore's got time to close that gap to take P1. And even if he closes it, he's still got to make the overtake. I think Mark has just started pole and just drove away. But this is the battle of the McLarens, and we'll see. Yeah, let's just see what happens here. I don't know. Any bets in stream as to which McLaren, which driver is going to end up at the front? This is a battle for P5, really. P5, 6 and 7. So, any predictions? I'm not sure what I'm going to give you if you get it right. Oh, that was very close into the into the rear there from Geens into the braking zone, but manages to avoid it. That's twice now we've seen Geens get closer. I think he's probably quite good on the brakes, and he's not expecting the brakes to happen as soon as they do. And then in the bottom right hand corner, we've got a battle for that third step on the podium between Tont and Zoltan. So Tont was P3. Zoltan ended up in front of him in the pits, but Tont is now putting the pressure back on him, and he's really closed that gap up. We've got two really good battles on track going on at the same time here. So if you're not watching, you really should be watching. Right, into the final corner we go in the main screen, and then into turn 1 we go. You can see just how close the gap is, really. There's only one corner between what's the battle for P3 and what's the battle for P6 and 7. And can Henry Tons make something happen? And will the positions change for any of these Maccas? It's going to be really interesting, actually, the battle between Tons and Zoltan, because that Lexus is rapid in a straight line, but so is the Beamer. And we've got a yellow flag. That is the 608 car, I believe, of Nurburgring that is currently out on the infield, as you see us just go past there on the main screen. Not sure what's happened there. We'll try and get a replay, but we've got quite a lot of battles going on track at the moment. And is this going to be an opportunity for Henry Tons to make it past the Lexus? I'm not sure he's close enough. I think he needs to nearly be alongside going into that stretch of road into the final, well, into the only chicane on track. Zoltan's going to certainly want to keep hold of that P3 though. He's going to fight tooth and nail for that one, no doubt. And they're going to go, oh, that was not quite. Final corner opportunity, maybe up the inside. No, not quite close enough. Right, we're going to watch these guys now. Geens is sat right on the rear bumper now of Vrintz. Can he make something happen into the final corner? He's going to look up the inside. He's got a slightly tighter line. I think he had to back out the throttle. This is spicy. This is really spicy. Guys, if you're in the chat, who do you think is going to come out on top in this fight for P3 and the fight in the McLarens? Or who are you supporting? Who's your teammate? Who's your friend? Who's your colleague? Whoever they might be to you. Right, through the curves we go once again and back up the hill. None of these Macca drivers really have made any really dramatic mistakes. Geens has got close a couple of times on the brakes, but he's never dropped off the pack. I think he's certainly got the pace, but he just hasn't quite got that opportunity. And I think that's the challenge that we spoke about earlier on in the stream. Was you could be the fastest man on track, but if somebody puts their car in the right place at the right time, you're just not going to get past them. You're just really going to struggle to get past them. As Bonanello is really not having a good time. He's now got a drive-through penalty. So he's 7 laps down and he's got a drive-through. Credit where credit's due, though. He is continues to trade. Is this an opportunity up the inside into the second to last corner? He's going to look for it. There isn't quite enough space there, and oh, there is now. There is now, and that is the move. Is it done? Because now he's going to have the outside line into the final corner. They're going to go door to door into the final corner, hard onto the brakes. Geens goes really. Oh, that's really, really deep, and that might be the end of that battle for Geens, who runs off the track at the final corner, and Vrince is thinking, thank God for that. I am no longer under pressure, and now I can focus on getting P5 back off Van der Linden, who has started to drive away. But this battle on track still goes on. Who's going to be standing on the third step of the podium? Is it going to be Henry Tons from Toga Academy? Or is it going to be Zoltan in the Lexus? Both of these drivers are putting a phenomenal drive so far. Tons started in P4. Not sure where Zoltan started. We've got another battle here. We've got Frank Hopp and Vervat, sorry, going into the final corner, but Frank Hopp looks like he's stayed in front. Is there going to be an opportunity into the first corner? No, there's not. Frank Hopp remains. Frank Hopp has had quite a lot of pressure this race. Really has had quite a bit of pressure. Right, Bonanella's decided I've had enough of this. I'm going back into the pits. I've had a drive through. I've got 7 laps down. Right, here we go. Opportunity. Tont on the outside, Zoltan on the inside. That inside line is a lot stronger. Zoltan's going to maybe try and stick it around the outside. No, he's going to try and get a good line. That's a lot of curb on the inside. I don't know if that would have hurt his exit. It looks like it has a little bit. And Zoltan remains in front. We've got about 2 laps remaining of this race, and then we're going to try and interview some of the drivers. Henry Tons is going to want that opportunity to present itself sooner rather than later. And Gomez gets himself a drive-through penalty in the Nissan, currently in P8. That is going to drop him down the order, and he is not going to be happy with that in the final stages of this race. But we did say that we'd see some. It is that chicane that is a killer. And this is very fast from the Beamer. Henry Tons is going to look up the inside. It's not quite enough room this time around, but that was a great drive through there and a great exit up the hill into the fast right-hander we go. And now it's a drag race down to the chicane, and that Beamer, as much as it is rapid, is not going to be fast enough to close that gap to the Lexus. As you can see. Right, we're going to try again. Henry Tons is thinking, I have not got many opportunities left to try and make this move happen and get myself onto that third step of the podium. Michael de Goor has closed the gap to the leader down to 1.3 seconds.
Right, man,
We looked a couple of laps, 1.1 seconds now. So I'm not sure where Mark Conway is on track at the moment. Where is he? So this will be the final lap. Okay, so I don't think de Goor's going to catch him, but we'll keep an eye on the leader in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. De Goor's really drove well, but this is the fight. We're down to 2/10. We know Henry Tons gets a good run down through sector 1. Gomez comes in for his drive-through penalty. Will anything happen? You can see there just how close in that bottom right hand corner that de Goor has caught up to Conway. Conway is under a bit of pressure now. He cannot afford a mistake in the last couple of corners of this race, or de Goor is going to take pole off him. And this looks like it might be the final opportunity if Tons wants to see that third step of the podium. He's got to get this corner right. That is key. That was a nice exit. I still don't think that's close enough. I do not think that is close enough, and it certainly isn't. And Gomez has now got to stop and go 30, so he's had his drive through. He's come out the pits, and he must have been speeding as he entered the pits, so he is going to tumble down the order. That is heartbreaking. But on the bottom right hand corner of the screen, you can see Matt Pryor about to come across the start finish line with de Goor. Mark Conway coming across the start. It's very close. Oh my, who has won that? 0.006 of a second. De Goor won that. Did he? Is that right? Did de Goor take that on the final corner? We might need to have a replay of that before we look at the interviews, if that's possible. I don't quite know what's happened there, but according to the timing screen, de Goor won that by 0.006 of a second. Zoltan takes P3, Tons takes P4 with 0.2, just under 0.2 shy of a step on that podium. Van der Linden P5, Routes P6. Right, let's have a quick look at, if we can, what happened in that final corner. It might take a couple of seconds for us to load, but it looks like Conway might have lost that in the last corner. We'll look to get them both in for an interview. It's the last race of the season, right? So let's see if we can get in whilst we try and search for a quick replay. But yeah, that got really spicy towards the end there, and I just want to check the time board because that was saying that Michael de Gore won. Mark Conway is not going to be a happy chappy if that was the case. So we'll see what happened. 0.006 was the gap. And that is Donington Park done. Oh, we got Mark Conway ready for an interview. So whilst we look for a replay, we'll drag him in when we'll see what happened. Good evening, Mark. If you're there.
Yeah, I'm here, mate. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, mate. So, well, I don't know. I'm going to start off with the question that we're all asking. We didn't quite see what happened on the final corner, but the timing screen was saying that you got P2 by 0.006 of a second. Is that correct?
Yes, mate. Yes.
Oh, what happened?
My finger slipped onto my limiter.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Oh no, that is gutting. You had a phenomenal race though. I think, despite the final corner antics, I think you started on pole. At one point, I think you were 5 or 6 seconds in front of P2.
Yeah.
So I think good race.
Yeah. It just yeah. I was the second half of the race. I didn't seem as fast. Although I was on 2 track warnings, so I was taking it a little bit easy through the chicane. I took my final track warning on the final lap through the chicane, just to give me a bit of a little bit of lead into the final 2 corners. And yeah, as I come around the last corner, I just sort of cranked the steering wheel left, and my thumb just literally ran over my pit limiter. Yeah.
Oh, that's so unfortunate. That's one of those things, isn't it? That obviously you don't plan for it and you don't want it to happen. I'm sure de Gore was very happy that it did happen, but I'm sure from your point of view, it's a little bit frustrating considering the race that you had.
Yes, I am. I'll keep it clean.
Yes. Yeah.
I bite my feelings right now, but yeah, well done to de Gore for a P1.
Yeah. So how did you find that final race? I mean, obviously you spent probably quite a lot of it in clean air, I suspect. It did notice that towards the sort of last 10-15 minutes, de Gore was closing you in a bit. Was that on purpose? Was you trying to be careful for track limit warnings, or was that tyres were falling off?
I was struggling as you come out the old hairpin when you go up the hill. I forget what that off-camber right-hand corner is, but I was really struggling to get the car into there. So I was having to sort of go not slow, but yeah, the tire didn't feel quite great after the old hairpin up into that right-hand corner. I can't remember what corner that name is, but you know where I am.
Yeah.
And yeah, just obviously again with the track warnings on 2 as well. I didn't want to push it too much because when you get to 3, it's like, oh, then you have to be really careful. So I think I come out the pits with like 7 seconds to go, and I kind of just managed it. I mean, to be fair, I could have. Yeah, it could have been a little bit, the timing could have been a bit better, really, in the last couple of laps. If I pushed a bit more, I've given myself that buffer to push the pit limiter and get off it again before crossing the line, really. But there we go. You live by the sword, die by the sword, don't you, really? Yeah,
that's it. It's tough, isn't it? We were saying in the start of the stream that track warnings would play a big part in this race, and we saw in the Tier 1 race. I mean, I raced in it, and I got 3 track warnings in the first 30 minutes. So you're like, God, I can't make a mistake now because otherwise my race is over. So yeah, you need to be a little bit more conservative. But yeah, look, congratulations on pole. Congratulations on P2, I guess. Commiserations that it probably should have been pole, should have been first. But hopefully we see you about in the next season. And
100%. Yeah. 100%. I'm guessing that'll be the new year now, the new season. I'm assuming.
Yeah, so it'll be next year now, the new season. But I think SSRI are doing a bit of a sort of in between season, so it's worth keeping an eye out on socials for that.
No problem. Take care, guys. Thanks a lot, and we'll catch you soon.
Cool. Cheers, Mark. Thanks, mate.
Cheers.
Michael Digor, how are you, sir?
Yes, I'm fine, and you?
I am very well, thank you. And I bet you're very happy with that result in the end. I bet that's not quite what you expected when you came out the pit.
Yeah, I still can't believe it. I think Mark ran out of fuel at the last corner, so yeah.
So we've just spoken to Mark, and he slipped on his one of his fingers and caught the pit limiter.
Really?
Which is incredibly unfortunate. But actually, you know what? I think you were catching at a really good pace. So we were watching the timing screen for quite a bit of the race, where when you came out the pits, there was 6 or 7 seconds between you and Mark, and then towards the end it was, well, obviously you won, but you were really closing the gap down. Was there any strategy behind that, like managing tyres? Or
Not really, because really early on the race I had the 3 cuts. So I had to really be careful not to get the penalty all race long, and second stint, I don't know, Mark was a bit slower. I was like in the mid-27 all the time, and I catch by around 3-5 tenths per lap, and I still can't believe what happened at the end, and but yes, I'm really happy with the result.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great result for you. Ultimately, was there any strategy going into this race? Did you think, right, I'm going to box at a certain point, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, or was it sort of see where you qualify and then see what happens in the race?
Not really. Standard strategy, just half liter, and just I split it at the same time as Mark. So
yeah,
there was nothing planned at all. But
And going into this race, you were P5 in the championship. Obviously, that's going to change now. We don't know where I can't see the end results just yet because obviously it takes a bit of time for them to be uploaded. But you might have jumped quite a few spots up potentially in this one. So yeah, great race. Congratulations on P1. Very dramatic ending to the final race of the season. And will we see you around for season 8?
Yes, of course. Season 8 in January. I'm looking forward to this. In tier 1 or tier 2, I still don't know, but we will see. If it's in tier 1, I will have to really get more practice to keep up with the guys, and let's see. And I forgot to thank SSRI because of server issues. We could still manage the race, so really thank you for that.
Yeah, I think I've mimicked that throughout the stream as well. I think it's been a challenging day for the SSRI admin team to try and get ACC connector set up, get the server set up, because right now the ACC, as you know, the ACC servers are down, but the viewers might not necessarily know, but the admin team made sure that the drivers were still able to race tonight, and what a race we've had! So yeah, congratulations, and well done on the win, and we'll see you around next season, hopefully.
Yeah, thank you. See you around.
Oh, cheers.
Cheers.
Right, we shall drag in Henry Tons.
He's gonna get.
Hello.
How
are you?
Tired after that whole race. It was,
I can imagine.
The top 4 was way too fast.
Yeah, that was. You got quite a lot of airtime. Let's put it that way. I think you drove obviously a phenomenal race. I think you obviously qualified P3, P4. Did you qualify P4? You got up to P3 in the first couple of laps. That was it. And was there any strategy that? Yeah, for sure. Was there any strategy that you had going into this race, or was it just a case of let's see what happens?
Tried to do a 40-20, same as usual, but I saw everybody going in, and the tire pressures were already low enough that I was like, you know what, let me go a lap after them. Screwed up my pit box a little bit, so the game had to move me up forward, and I guess that's what let Zolder past me, and I just for the life of me couldn't get past that Lexus anymore. Yeah,
we were saying on the stream actually that the pit entry it's quite a scary pit entry at Donington. I think it's
Oh,
very short,
absolutely.
so you're on the limiter straight away. But if you miss the pit box, obviously it can cost you a couple of seconds. And
Yeah.
we were also saying around this particular track, it's incredibly difficult to overtake, as I'm sure you experienced trying to chase down Zoltan in the.
I mean, I'll be
the
honest. If
Lexus.
it was a McLaren or a BMW or a Ferrari, it would have been easier. But the Lexus is just so damn fast out of the corners.
Yeah, it's just a
Mhm.
rocket ship, that car, isn't it? It's like an extra
Absolutely.
500 horsepower. But yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, you were chasing down P3 for quite a bit of that, stuck behind Zoltan trying to make the move happen. It got quite close at the end. You were down to 0.2 of a second, but I think P4's a quite a good result to the end of the season. It's where you started. Obviously, you'd have preferred a step on the podium
Yeah.
for sure. But would there have been anything different that you would do if you was to redo this race?
Honestly, looking at how fast Conway and Degoria were, I had no chance there. Like, we're all four of us, with Zoltan included, we're just fast and consistent enough that you just can't get any better there unless you pull up some major moves like Degoria was doing on his second stint. And quite frankly, at that point, I knew that, okay, I'm not going to get on the top 3 into the promotion range anyway, so I'm just going to try to get past Zoltan if I can and just enjoy my race. And that was a good race. That's all I'm going to say. That was a good race.
Yeah, we thoroughly enjoyed watching it as well. Donington Park always brings a lot of entertainment. It's quite a close, tight, narrow track at points. There's not many overtaking opportunities, so when overtakes do present themselves, drivers will obviously try and make that happen. But yeah, super easy to defend. But yeah, look, congratulations on P4. Before this race started, you were P4 in the championship. That might change now. Who knows? Not sure. We'll see what happens when the results come out. You worked it out.
I worked it out already. It's now going to.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, it will. I'll be 5th now, but. Yeah.
You're on joint points with De Gore. Yeah, you're correct. Yeah, look, but P5 overall is a good spot. And will we see you back next season?
Hopefully so. Just let me know. I'll stick around in Discord and hopefully we'll get get some good racing, get some good people in.
Brilliant, perfect, right?
Maybe it's not as many people, so that we get 3 groups, and I'll get put into the middle group and not the top of the 3rd group like this time around. But hey, let's see. Future is bright.
Yeah, for sure. Perfect, right? Thank you, Henry, and I'll let you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thanks. You too.
Cool. Cheers, mate. And then last but most certainly not least, we have got Horvath Zoltan. So, Mr. Zoltan, how are we?
Hi.
How are you?
Thanks. Sorry, my English is very bad, but
That's
I
okay.
tried.
No, that's okay. I can't speak any other languages, so the fact that you speak multiple languages is more than impressive to me. And you probably speak better English than some of my friends do. So we'll hopefully they're not watching the stream. How was your race? How did you find that? You obviously had a little bit of pressure in the last couple of laps there from Tons, but you managed to hold on to P3 in the end, which is obviously a very good result.
Yes, I am very happy. The P3 is very good. The last 3 laps very hard for me. I see only my mirrors and blocking a corner. I try to save my P3.
Yeah, I think we were watching. You got quite a lot of time on stream, and obviously that Lexus is the only Lexus in the race. It's very green as well, so it stands out quite a lot on the stream. But yeah, the last few laps, if you ever get a chance to watch the stream back, you were under quite a bit of pressure from Tons behind, but you did a really good job defending. I think that Lexus is just so fast, isn't it? As long as you can get the corners right and you can hit your apexes, you'll hold on to it. But yeah, before this race started, did you have any sort of plans around what you were going to do in the race, or was it just a case of let's see what happens?
Oh, I don't understand this.
So did you before the race started? Did you have a plan? So did you say I was going to hit?
Yes. I have a plan. I know my qualification was will be the worst. I think I have 5th or 6th position for the qualify. But after the start, I I wait collision, and that was happen, and I jump to P5, yes.
Yeah.
And after the P stop, I cut the downs, and I was on 3 positions back after the pit.
Yeah, we were watching your pit stop actually, and you had a really good pit stop, and I think it made quite a big difference to your race. But before you came into this race in the standings, you were P2. I don't know what the maths is, but I think you are gonna be on the podium. I think overall, have you
Yes.
enjoyed the championship?
Yes, that was interesting and good and fun. This championship.
Are we going to see you back next time when the new season comes
Yes.
out? Brilliant, cool.
I will come in.
Yeah,
with
perfect.
Lexus.
Yeah, you're very brave using the Lexus. I will be honest. I have driven it a couple of times, and it's very slippery. Is probably the best word to describe it. I
Yes.
think. But yeah, congratulations on the overall position that you finished in. Obviously, you've done fantastic throughout the season, and then congratulations on P3 tonight in the race. And yeah, like I say, hopefully we'll see you next time. But yeah, thank you for joining us, and much
Thank you.
appreciated.
That was fun.
And we'll see you next season.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, mate.
Thank you.
All right, so that leads us to the end of the SSRI GT3 Season 7. We've finished it off here at Donington Park. There's going to be a bit of a break now going into Season 8, but there will be a bit of a sort of in-between prologue, who knows? English obviously is terrible. Race in between that sort of for anybody can enter, but yeah, keep an eye on the SSRI Discords. But yeah, great race day at Donington. I'm Andy King. Chris Hill has been the man sorting out the broadcast behind the cameras, and yeah, have a great evening. Catch you all later.